All right. No, I appreciate that. Okay. So now it's time for resident announcements or comments for things not on the agenda. So this would not include the Episcopal Center for Children or the West End Library, Civic Core Design, or apartment owner updates, but other items. Okay, I see Mr. Brian Heilman.
Chair Phinizy, I just have really a informational question about how tomorrow's library and DPR session at our local library, the kickoff of the planning period, how that was communicated to parents at Merchant, at Lafayette, and elsewhere.
I mean, we communicate, the library sent out information to all people who had library cards, and I asked DPR if they could try to locate people who had pulled permits or participated in programs at the DPR Community Center in the last 2 years. They said they would try to do it. We've advertised it with our newsletters. And then I see Commissioner Simmons probably wants to speak on that as well.
Yes, so DCPL and DPR has sent information in regards to this community engagement meeting to all library card holders with Chevy Chase as their home library. It was also sent to the newsletters for Merch and Lafayette, so they were communicated
Perfect. Thanks
out to the schools.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons, and thank you, Mr. Holman. Is there anyone else with a resident concern at this time? Okay, so government officials, I believe I saw Owen Cox. I think I saw Chris Smith and Ann Walters. Owen Cox is our MOCR, Mayor's Constituent Representative. I just pinged him today about the bear carving, and we're going to need some extra trash pickups up there because a lot of people are visiting and participating. Hi, Owen.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. My name is Owen Cox. I'm the Ward 3 liaison for the Mayor's Office for Community Relations and Services. Just one quick announcement. We will be having office hours at the end of this month. The time and date and location are to be determined, but I'll update for the next meeting or during the next meeting once we nail those down. That's it for me, but have a great night.
Thank you. Chris Smith and Ann Walters. I know Ann Walters has been giving us DC plug updates. I'm sorry, Commissioner Gosselin.
Yeah, to Owen, I'd ask your help. Chevy Chase Playground is in my district. I've messaged DPR and DGS about two things. One, I think they fixed, which is that the tot lot splash area, the pump is flooding. Now, I think that's fixed. What isn't fixed is there is just an immense amount of trash around the Little League field, and they keep saying, "Oh, boy, we've talked to our team about it," but at least as of 24 hours ago, it wasn't gone. So anything you can do to try to get some quicker action there would be appreciated. Thanks.
Sure thing. I was up in the area on Friday and saw the issue with the splash pad, although folks had told me that who were at the park had told me that someone from DPR was already up there earlier in the day, I guess taking some measurements or basically determining what work needed to be done. As for the trash, I'd be glad to flag that to our DPW team, or DGS in this case.
Thank you. All right. Ann Walters, did you want to give an update about DCPLUG?
Yes. Hi, good evening, commissioners and residents. Just want to let everyone know that we're still actively having construction. Right now we're on Legation and 39th Street from Legation to Livingston, Nebraska Avenue to Jennifer Street Northwest. We will be there for a few more weeks, and once we've completed work on those areas, we will restore and then move on to other locations. But currently we are on those 3 locations, and we have restored the 3300 block of Legation and Broad Branch. So those streets have been completed in terms of restoration, and striping has also been done on those two streets. And I will send you my email, my information, Commissioner, and you can share with the residents. I'm not able to put it in the chat, but I'll email it to you so where you can share it with residents.
I just opened up the chat briefly so that you can share it, and then I'll
Okay.
close it down. Chris Smith from Councilmember Janice Lewis George's office.
Good evening, Chair Phinizy and the rest of the commission and the community. I really only have three announcements. The typical two that Ms. Barber would offer about our office hours that happen weekly from 12 to 1 at Fort Stevens Rec Center, and then 1:30 to 2:30 at Hattie Holmes Senior Wellness. It's just an opportunity for community members, if they wanted to come out, have any concerns, they can speak to a member of the constituent service team. And it's just a way for us to connect them with resources in the Ward 4 community. The other thing is you all can always sign up for our newsletter at ward4news.com. And there's a text option as well of 286-5268. Again, that's 202-286-5268. And the third thing was just going to be tomorrow is going to be the first budget vote for our budget for this year, FY27. I know that the next vote, I believe, is going to be on the 18th. So please, folks, if you do have any questions or concerns about the budget, special issues that you all do want to flag for our legislative team or the council member, please reach out to our office. And I think that's it, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Yeah, Chris, we have a broken slide at our park. I think the work order number is 842090. It was supposed to be fixed in February. It's a big hole in the bottom. When the kids come down from the slide, they can just plummet to the ground. And I don't know that they've even ordered the part yet.
I will follow up on that.
I mean, and we've got, I walked up there today. I've got electrical wires sticking up. I've got a broken light pole on the ground. I reported those to Chris Dyer and other DPR staff when we had the erosion meeting in April, and they haven't fixed that up.
Can you forward that email to me?
It was in person, but I can send you emails on it. Sure. Yeah. I mean, in general, and we also have the splash pads been running like 24/7. So we're also flooding. Yeah. So I'll send you a laundry list.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
All right. Looks like you've got some more customers. Carol Grunewald.
Yeah, I'd like to defer to Liz. I'll go after Liz. Thank you.
Commissioner Nagy.
Thank you. I couldn't get to my microphone. Apologies. On the subject of slides and playgrounds, I had a conversation with Brent Cisco quite recently about the slide at the Civic Corps, and he tells me that they have finally found money to fix it and that it should be fixed shortly so that our kids will have a slide to use until some kind of resolution is found with the Civic Corps. If they do demolish everything, then of course this will all go away. But in the meantime, our kids deserve a place to play. So I'm happy to say that that's going to get resolved.
Thank you. To Commissioner Simmons, I thought I saw your hand, but I don't see it now.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the Civic Corps is Ward 3, but thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Grunewald.
Yes. So Chris, thank you for coming here this evening. I have been reading and hearing that Janice Lewis George is running double digits ahead of her competitor in the mayoral race. And I'd like to know if that's true. And if it
Point
is,
of order.
and if
Point
it
of
is,
order. Point of order.
congratulations.
Point of
Commissioner
order.
Grunewald,
I
Commissioner
I can
Grunewald.
answer.
Wait,
No,
stop,
no, no,
stop,
no,
This
stop,
is not the
stop. A
place.
point of order has been called. Commissioner Simmons, please state your point.
This isn't this is ANC business, so I think we should not be covering elections during this meeting.
Your point
It's
is
very
well, your
improper.
point is well taken. Point is well taken. We can do reminders that public voting, early voting started today, that the polling places are open, but anything that might be construed as advocacy, we should steer from. Thank you.
I wasn't advocating.
No, but I think we want to err on the side of caution. So, thank you.
And for my part, since this meeting is recorded, I will say, due to DC's local Hatch Act, the council staff are prohibited from commenting on campaign-related issues.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, right. We don't want to get anybody in trouble. Commissioner Gore.
No, I was just getting ready to comment. And I'm so grateful, Chris, that you mentioned that. That is a major violation. And if you had answered that question, you would be at risk. No commissioner should ever put any government staff in that position. This is strictly, we are prohibited from discussing election matters. We cannot do that on the ANC. And I know we have some new commissioners, but that is a major, major faux pas. Thank you.
Right. I mean, if we're talking about the opening of a polling places or having Board of Elections to explain ranked choice voting, that's a different matter because it's not seen as one person over another. Those are more procedural matters. Okay, so thank you. All right. Are there any more government officials out here who want to keep us an update? Commissioner Simmons?
Yes, and I just wanted to remind that the ANC is bipartisan.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now we are going to go into discussion of DCPS's decision not to investigate the purchase of the Episcopal Center for Children. Commissioner Sherman, you had a letter as well. So would you like to give a brief update on where things stand?
Well, where things stand is that DCPS has declined to look into the purchase or lease or partnership arrangement with ECC for the establishment of an early childhood education annex for Lafayette Elementary School at the Episcopal Center for Children. That's the decision that we received just this past week. Before I get into the letter, given the fact that this was billed as a discussion, I'm happy to hear from commissioners in terms of their response to the letter from DCPS or members of the public, if they've happened to have seen that, and then I'll be pleased to go into the response letter. And if no one has any comments, I can go right into the response letter, whatever you'd like.
I'm not seeing a hand raised, but
Okay.
Attendees can raise hands using the reactions, but I don't see any. So
I will,
go ahead.
I will share my screen then, if that's okay. You just have to allow that.
Okay, you should be able to share screen now.
Okay.
Chair Phinizy, I have a question before we go into the discussion.
Yeah, please
Yes,
go ahead.
Commissioner Simmons.
Thank you for addressing me, Chair. So since I did not have an opportunity to read this, I believe just recollection, our resolution went to DCPS asking them to explore options in regards to purchasing ECC for early childhood education. DPS came back to us that they explored that. There's no money in the budget and that DCPS or at least Lafayette enrollment has been trending down. I'm just trying to understand what is it, what I mean, the letter is, are we just going to keep saying the same thing that we said in the resolution? I'm just trying to understand what it is that we're trying to do. We asked DCPS to explore it. They explored it. They don't have the budget. So I'm just trying to understand, are we just not going to take no for an answer and just keep saying find money and we don't have the budget? Just want to know the purpose.
So I think that's where Commissioner Sherman.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that's appropriate. I mean, that's pointed out versus just regurgitating the same information over and over again. So what is new information in this letter that we are going to advise to DCPS after they told us that they can't explore this right now?
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Sherman. Thank you.
That's a point of what we're doing, right? I'm going to walk you through the letter.
Yes, can you please try to address those questions? Good questions.
We will address those questions in the course of looking at the letter. So this is the draft letter. We received the reply from Patrick Ashley, who's identified here as Deputy Chancellor for Finance and Operations. We had directed the letter to Chancellor Farabee, who has, by the way, announced that he's going to be stepping down from his position, moving on. So it may very well be in the future that it is Mr. Ashley or another senior official at DCPS that we would be speaking to about this. Several things about the letter, noting that it was not premised solely on Lafayette's current enrollment level. We identified in the resolution a number of factors, including, of course, access to early childhood education by young students across our commission area, preservation of educational assets, namely ECC as an historic educational facility in our commission area. Of course, it resides in Single Member District 02. Facility issues, Lafayette, future demographic uncertainty, and long-term educational planning. These factors, which I'll walk through. Lafayette, as we know, continues to experience significant unmet demand for early childhood education. There is no pre-K3. There isn't in Rock Creek West. That is true, but there's none at Lafayette. And access to pre-K4, as we've identified previously, is extraordinarily limited. It really practically is only available to families that already have a child enrolled at the school. So that means that parents in my single member district and across the commission area face several options. They can enroll their children in programs where there is PKEEP funding, which is DC subsidized pre-K education at selected early childhood education centers. And there are a number of those, and Community Kids is one and others in Ward 3. Otherwise, they face the tuition of $20,000 to $30,000 a year on average per child for early childhood education. Not all families in the neighborhood participate in PKEEP. They prefer to send their children to other institutions, but they would, of course, prefer to send their children, if they're in the neighborhood, to Lafayette. But that's not available to them because of the lack of pre-K3 and the next to nil access unless you, again, already have a child enrolled at Lafayette for pre-K4. The second point made in the letter, it's not, again, just a matter of current enrollment. We have in our neighborhood an extraordinary asset that we want to continue to stress to the district, and that is, of course, the Episcopal Center for Children. We had thought at one time that the relationship with Murray would provide a revenue stream for them to resume their therapeutic program. That has not proved to be the case. And therefore, Murray has, as we know, declined to purchase the remaining 2 acres in buildings in addition to the 5 acres for their fields that they purchased previously. So ECC is back on the market. And we look at this, certainly we live, my family, just across the street, but all of us know ECC. And it would be in our neighborhood's long-term interest to take advantage of this extraordinary resource for educational purposes. And we just want to continue to make that point to the district. With respect to Commissioner Simmons' points, what's new, what's different, what more are we saying here? We're saying that we don't have a lot of confidence in the long-range planning enrollment forecast of DCPS. In the first instance, if we go back to the 2015-16 modernization, that was originally targeting approximately 805 students for additional capacity. The school very quickly grew past that. And as we know, basement rooms with no windows have been converted to classrooms. So the planning assumptions, the enrollment projections that we've gotten from DCPS in the past have not been accurate. And in addition, we have a circumstance with respect to what we've just heard from the Office of Planning, The Office of Planning told us on May 27th at our last meeting that they are targeting a 20% population growth in the District of Columbia by 2050. Now, unless Chevy Chase is somehow not going to experience that population growth, which doesn't stand to reason, obviously, we are going to see a significant growth of population growth of families, and growth of children who need to be schooled. So the idea that there is declining enrollment into the future at Lafayette is just not tenable based on everything that we know and that we hear. I would just add anecdotally, I live in the 5800 block of Nebraska Avenue. In the last 9 months, we've welcomed 3 new families here with children, children that want to go to Lafayette. So anecdotally, as I experience it in my single member district and other commissioners as well, I'm sure, we see families buying into our neighborhood, and a major reason is Lafayette Elementary. The other factor, of course, is that we are looking at the Chevy Chase Civic Core redevelopment, which now contemplates 177 new housing units. We don't know exactly how many children would be in that facility if and once it's developed, but certainly it's going to be a number that also need to go to school. I would note that last Thursday, when we had the meeting with DEMPED and the question came up about school capacity, one answer at least was that, well, there are other choices for children and their families in this area. They don't just have to go to Lafayette. I found that to be an unacceptable answer in that this is the catchment area. Again, families move here because of Lafayette. Families that would move to the Chevy Chase Civic Core redevelopment would also be intrigued and interested in Lafayette because of the quality of the school. So we have to keep this in mind when we think about what the future demand is going to be for enrollment at Lafayette. Finally, the district decision is a financial one. I certainly understand that, but our message and our resolution was about requesting exploration of other options, acquisition, lease, partnership, other arrangements. What we, at the end of the day, are asking DCPS to do is to simply look at this, undertake a preliminary feasibility review of the ECC property. It's not to make a commitment right now. It's simply to look into this and to undertake the study. Now, finally, I would say this, and to Commissioner Simmons' point, yes, I'm continuing to advocate for my families. I have 580 odd children, 18 and under, 165 and under in my single member district. I have a number of families who have approached me about this issue. You'll recall that I did a flash survey in advance of our voting on the resolution. In 48 hours, 122 responses came in. 96% of those responses, an extraordinary percentage, were in support of pursuing exploration of this very proposition that is in this letter, was in our resolution, of looking at ECC as a place for an early childhood education annex to Lafayette. In addition, a number of families, dozens of families, wrote letters to Chancellor Farabee. There's very strong interest here. It's not just in my single member district. However, I know it's across the commission area. We owe it to our families. I owe it to my families and my constituents to continue to advocate for this. And that's why I'm proposing we send this response letter.
Thank you, Commissioner Sherman. And it may be useful to keep this letter shared right now so that if in case anybody wants to reference a particular point of it. Since there hasn't been a motion for a vote at this time, comments from the public are allowed and welcome. I see Ms. Janice Brennan. Would you like to unmute yourself?
So much. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I just wanted to point out that the more public education in our district that can be provided, if we're interested in making room, which I certainly am, in this room for lower income families who can't afford to send their children to private schools and need public schooling from the youngest age for their children. It seems to me that this is a no-brainer to, I mean, we're asking is that it be explored more. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brennan. And you can, you know how to put your hand down. Excellent. Okay. Is there any other comment from the public here? Commissioner Simmons.
I can go after the public.
Okay, thank you. Cheryl Barnes. You're muted.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I think that this is an opportunity that this community absolutely cannot just let slip away. We need to hound the district on this point. We need this property for pre-K. So I really appreciate the fact that Commissioner Sherman has brought this subject up again. And I know that community needs to stay on top of this. If we could just see the whole letter again so that we could get the points off of it, that would be great. Thank you very much. And then the next page, please. And is there some way that this letter could be just disseminated in the community?
Sure.
Commissioner Sherman, would it be possible for you to upload this to OneDrive and share it out with shared privileges?
Chair Phinizy, can it go on our website? We have a new website. We should use our website.
It can. I'm just running the meeting right now, so it's hard for me to put it on the website at this moment, but I could certainly do it after the meeting.
I'm happy to continue to review it with people on the screen right now. I think if we post it, I'm going to make a motion shortly that we approve this letter as opposed to posting it for future consideration. So,
oh, great.
I'm happy to have people take a look at it right now. We can walk back through it, whatever you'd like to do. It's right here on the screen.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Simmons, I see your hand.
Yes. If we're moving on to commissioner comments. So again, I just want to point out, this is why I asked for documents to be provided in ample time, because the community could have went to our website and reviewed this. So I just want to touch on the point. So I'm giving the reasons why I'm not going to vote in support of this if we have a vote on this. We owe it to the community. We done a resolution. The ANC passed a resolution. We sent the letter to DCPS. We asked DCPS to look at this. DCPS looked at it and they gave us a response. The next thing I think is this letter is asking the same thing that was in our resolution. I think it's a little bit inappropriate or just not proper to ask DCPS. They say they don't have any money to ask DCPS to purchase this the ECC, and we have public school and charter schools losing funding for students. The next thing I want to remind the community about is that we had families, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but just to remind the community, we had families that had the issue of redshirting. So we had families having their children in private institutions so that they can be delayed and start in kindergarten. So we have to think about, okay, if we have families that's interested in doing this, will they send their kids to pre-K3 and pre-K4? The next thing is I want to remind everyone that as a parent with the child currently in DCPS, we have the choice opportunity. So just because we live in this neighborhood, we don't have to send our child to Lafayette. We can lottery anywhere. We can have our children go to charter schools that offer language. A lot of DCPS schools do not offer language. So I just want everybody to be cognizant of that. And then I just wanted to address, again, I haven't had a chance to read the letter, but we had a community member talking about low-income families. When this resolution came, I presented that to this commission, and the commission voted against including my language that talked about if this property was purchased, to have families from other areas to be included as a preference. And this community decided to go against that. So for those reasons, I would not be supporting this resolution. I also think that we're just going to keep asking DCPS, and they already told us we didn't have it. And I just wouldn't want to put them in the position to where we then spin the narrative that DCPS isn't listening to us. It's kind of like asking someone to spend money in a budget that they don't have and then going into debt. And that's not fiscally responsible because you can't recover for that. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. I see Commissioner Nagi's hand. It looks like it was first. Is that correct, Commissioner Gosselin? Okay, thank you. Commissioner Nagy?
It is, but I'm happy to defer to Commissioner Gosselin for now and pick up where he leaves off, if that's okay with you.
Okay, Commissioner Gosselin?
Well, I must say I'm sympathetic to the DCPS response that they don't have the money. I mean, I don't think we are fully aware of how troubled the budgets for the district are. But if the point of the letter is to, in effect, lobby DCPS to keep this on their radar and to look more thoroughly at it, a suggestion is, would the author consider adding a paragraph saying that absent further action by DCPS, this ANC will seek to help in the marketing of this to an education institution, a private educational institution, something that would at least keep it in the educational the domain while we hope our public budget improves and this can get back on the agenda for DCPS.
Thank you, Commissioner Gosselin. Commissioner Nagy?
Thank you. With respect to Commissioner Gosselin's point, I don't know if I'm completely on board with that. It's interesting, but I think we should not be particularly lobbying for private education. We should be lobbying for public education. So in that spirit, I would want to lobby district government to find the money rather than find a private entity that could take it over. I'm sure ECC can do that or has thought about that and may be able to do that on its own. With respect to whether the money will ever become available, I guess I'd like to point out that we've been told for quite some time now that there was absolutely no money in the budget to fix the playground at the Civic Corps, and yet they managed to have found money with sufficient prodding. So I'm in favor of keeping the pressure on them to try to find some way to make this happen.
Thank you, Commissioner Nagy. Commissioner Gore?
Yes, can you scroll down to the recommendation?
Question?
This is all the way at the bottom of the draft letter.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Nagy, are you trying to work something with the timer?
I am. Thank you. So we had allotted 20 minutes. That's our 20 minutes. You want me to give another 10 to this?
I think that would be sufficient. Thank you for keeping track of the time. I appreciate it. Okay, Commissioner Gore?
Yep. Do we make any comments in the letter, particularly about the budget situation? And has the commission or commissioner considered budget testimony? Why didn't we testify on this as a commission in terms of budget oversight?
Mm-hmm. I believe I saw up at the up maybe the second paragraph.
Well, there's reference in here. The question is why we didn't testify. That's
a two-part question.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the paragraph that I've already alluded to down here, with respect to the resolution in terms of the various ways in which it could be done, budget limitations, we acknowledge the budget limitations. So we're not failing to recognize that. Up at the top of the letter, noting here, right, fiscal constraints the district faces. So we're expressing those things. But as to budget testimony, I can't answer that solely. Other commissioners could weigh in on it. But this departs from the discovery that Moray School declined to purchase ECC and ECC's decision to put the property back on the market. So the timeline of this tracks to those circumstances, and we're trying now to say, all right, given that, petitioning the DCPS to look at this more closely. I
have a follow-up. That's not my question or actually my concern. My concern is that the commission sometimes has a tendency to use some of the heavy tools that we do have. This is not a letter where we're going to get great weight by the city. It doesn't fit the great weight requirement. So our next heavy-handed tool is testimony. And I would encourage the commission to put issues like this in budget testimony, where we have it on the record before the council. And then that gives us also leeway into the council. In this case, it would be the chairman, because we don't have a budget, an education committee, for us to go back to the council, and particularly the chairman, to continue to follow up on our testimony. So I would just say that if this is a concern to us as a commission and to our community, that we treat it with the weight it deserves and make sure that we get this into budget testimony, budget oversight.
Thank you. And Chris Smith did mention earlier at this very meeting that, if there were particular issues, please let them know, let Council Member Janice Lewis-George's team know. So that would be very timely, because he just mentioned that in the Ward 4 update.
Chair, I'm not with my screen being shared. I can't raise my hand, but Chair Phinizy, may I respond to Commissioner Gore?
Yes, thank you for directing your comments to the chair.
So I take note of the comments about budget testimony. I think that's a very good suggestion, approaching the council. I would add this. The matter of school capacity came up on last Thursday night, at the meeting with DEMPED on the Civic Corps. Council member Ward 3, Council member Matt Fruman was in attendance, as those who were there on the scene know. He addressed this matter of school capacity and mentioned that this is exactly the kind of thing that would come up or that he would entertain, he suggested, during hearings on the district's proposal to redevelop the Civic Corps. And I certainly would want our commission, and if the commission as a whole were not amenable to doing this, I would offer to do it as a single commissioner, to express that in the consideration of the Civic Corps development, school capacity is critical. It's been critical since the very first time that our ANC talked about this back in 2017-18, and it remains critical. And that would be an opportunity to bring this up to the council and to Council Member Fruman in particular. It's not the budget testimony that Commissioner Gore is talking to, but it's another opportunity to put this before the council.
Thank you, Commissioner Sherman. I would just like to offer a few thoughts from my point of view. I remember when we were doing the school construction at Lafayette, and we had a basement area, and it was slated to be finished out for multi-purpose rooms and for another special room. And the cost was $500,000. And at the time, the construction was going on 10 years ago. They said, we just don't have that, $500,000 to finish out the basement. And we said, guys, it'll be so much more expensive if you come back later. And they didn't. They came back 3 years later, and the cost ballooned to $4 million. So, what we're seeing with the prices of real estate, and also I think to the point from the Office of Planning about the 20% population growth, when I saw, when we went through the school construction, we had two population projections about Lafayette enrollment. One was from DCPS, which projected that we would go down by 25% in school age children in Lafayette, but in the next 10 years, like from 2015 to 2025. The Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments projected that it would increase by 25%. And interestingly, DCPS said both figures were correct, which was really weird. But turned out Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments was correct. And their statistics, they're the agency that OP is using for its projections of 20% growth by 2050. So with that much growth, and also just the increase in price in real estate, I think, it might be, yes, expensive now, but like the deputy mayor for education under this current mayor has had an 87, I think, % increase in central office staff. And so, perhaps there could be some findings of savings there. I would encourage the purchase of it, or at least the lease or something to secure it in the short term until the budget gets better. Commissioner Goss.
Yeah, let me just use the occasion of this discussion, although this is not directly relevant to the letter, which I'm prepared to support, to ask two questions. One, have we ever gotten an explanation for why Murray decided not to purchase the property? And two is, if it is not purchased by DCPS or some educational institution, what restrictions are on the property being developed for luxury housing or for other purposes than education? Do we know that? I guess I direct this to Commissioner Sherman.
Yes, we have a little bit of insight into that. It was in my conversations with Murray school officials, Dennis Biscard, head of school, Trey Holloway, associate head of school, when this first came up and the opportunity to consider purchasing the ECC property, they weren't sure what they would do with it. They were exploring what to do with it. They did not have any plans, they told me, to expand their educational program to this part of Washington. In other words, they weren't looking to have a satellite campus. And so I think it was simply, if I understood the developments at the time correctly, an opportunity for them just to take a look at it and determine if, in fact, they wanted to do something. So that's that. In terms of the restrictions on the property, as I think the commissioners know, the public likely also knows, it has historic designation. So that is to, in the first instance, restrict. Without reversing that, of course, you can remove historic designation by appealing to the Historic Preservation Review Board, but it carries that historic designation, which the commission will remember came about only about, 4-5 years ago, not very long ago. So there's that, which creates a certain complexity, right, to the future use of the property, which is why, again, it would be hugely beneficial to take advantage of this facility.
Thank you, Commissioner Nagy. It looks like we are at our 10-minute time extension. Commissioner Grunewald, do you have a brief comment?
This is a very brief and slightly very off topic, but I would like someone to check on Cal, please, who's on our screen and who looks like he may not be well.
Like a wellness check?
Yes.
I see.
I'll call
Does
him.
anyone have his phone number?
Commissioner Gore does. Thank you. Good catch, Carol, and fingers crossed that somebody's just tired at the end of a day. Oh my goodness. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Sherman.
Yes, I'd like to, if the chair will indulge my proposing the motion, I'd like to move that we approve the letter.
Okay.
Do I have a second for that? Or you can ask, I suppose.
I'll
Chair.
second.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion to approve the letter to DCPS. I just want to make sure I get the title of it. Can you recap the title out loud for us, Commissioner Sherman?
Well, it's a response to their letter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They declined to move forward in exploring the possible purchase, lease, or partnership arrangement. I can go through it all, but you've got it, I think.
Okay. Responding to their decline to purchase Murray.
Or it's ECC for
purchase.
early childhood education annex at ECC for Lafayette Elementary School.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So there's been a motion and seconded to approve the letter to DCPS responding to their decision to decline to purchase the ECC annex for Lafayette Elementary School. All those in favor, say aye.
You're going to do roll call, Tony?
I'm going to go one through. So Commissioner Gore says yes. Commissioner Sherman, yes. Commissioner Grunewald, yes. Commissioner Phinizy, yes. Commissioner Goslin, yes. And where's number 7? Okay, yes. Okay. Commissioner Nagy, yes. Okay, hands down, please. Okay, all those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, and that is Commissioner Simmons. There are no abstentions, so by a vote of 6-1, the letter is approved.
Thank you.
And Cal looks in the pink. All right.
Okay.
So there we go. Okay. Thank you. All right. So it is now 8 o'clock and we are looking at a discussion and possible vote talking about the suitability of the West End Library as a model for Civic Core and a resolution on community input for design preferences for community center and library. That was a resolution that had been originally on the agenda at the end of May and was asked to be postponed. So that's where we are here. Commissioner Gore? Muted.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you. For the record, I want to state clearly that I do not have a financial conflict of interest in this matter. However, BEGA has issued guidance to commissioners advising that when a matter concerning a commissioner's outside affiliated entity comes before the ANC, taking action can implicate the prohibition against the appearance of a conflict and requirement that our work be done in an impartial manner. As a board member of Chevy Chase Board, I take these ethical standards seriously, therefore in strict adherence to BEGA's advisory guidance. To cure any potential appearance of a conflict, I'm voluntarily recusing myself from this agenda item. To allow the commission to deliberate completely freely, I am going to drop off the meeting. This time, I am going to log into the meeting under my personal email account, and I will not be voting or discussing this matter as a commissioner. If I choose to comment on this matter, I will be doing so in my personal capacity, not as a member of the ANC, nor as a member of Chevy Chase Ford. I will ask the recording secretary to note this recusal for the official minutes, and I will rejoin as a commissioner once this agenda item is off the table. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner Sherman, would you like to lead off on what we saw at the library at the West End? Maybe other commissioners would like to share and then move to the resolution.
Yeah, I'd be happy to let other commissioners speak to what they saw at the West End. I would just say that I have published an assessment of the West End as a precedent for the Chevy Chase Civic Core redevelopment. Commissioners have seen that. I've put that out on the listserv. Members of the public have seen that. The headline there is that it is an example of a library inside a residential complex, but the similarities end there, in my view, to what's being proposed for the Civic Core. But I'll let other commissioners speak to that, and then I'll walk folks through the resolution.
All right, thank you so much. Any commissioners who want to share their thoughts on the West End walkthrough? Okay, Commissioner Gosselin, thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I think that to the extent it's an example of what can work as a multi-use building, it's a good example. Yes, I agree with Commissioner Sherman. There's a difference in that we're trying to, at some level, marry two public institutions, a community center and a library, and that doesn't occur at the West End. I must say that I was a little surprised to see the title of this segment on our agenda, because I don't think the executive director of DCPL or officials of the library have ever claimed it was a model for what to do here. I think, in fact, Reyes Galvin wrote us saying that, it shows that multi-use buildings with libraries can work within multi-use buildings, but he stopped at that point. He didn't say it was a template for what we're trying to do here. So we're sort of addressing a claim that wasn't made. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think because it's perhaps because it is the library that does have housing with it, I think that's the point that is maybe most relevant for comparison. I'll speak to what I saw. I sent out my newsletter to my constituents. The West End Library was an interesting shape. It was a very long rectangle with one kind of like a number 7 with an area that sort of went back into the back. They had like 230 feet of southern facing frontage, so that area got pretty good light. But the West End and East End windows were so far away from the main part, and a lot of the north part didn't have direct windows. There was this interior courtyard, and you could kind of look up into this shaft. And then there was an overhang. It was a cool kind of design. And that contained actually the gym of the apartment building above it. While I felt like the materials were excellent, it was in very good condition after 10 years of use. It was very quiet. They talked about some of the acoustical tiles and acoustical materials. Their meeting room, I actually walked on the opposite end of the room from where the presenter was speaking, and I could hear him absolutely perfectly unmiked. And it was clear that the staff liked it. I felt kind of squished. I felt it was, it didn't have the sense of kind of airiness that I feel at the Chevy Chase Library, especially when I'm up in the children's section with the kids. And also, so it wouldn't be something I would pick, but in terms of the quality, I thought it was very well done, and I would encourage anyone to go look at it. And I would say I was also very impressed by the staff. How much they enjoyed it, how much the volunteer people enjoyed it. So they clearly are attentive, not just to the aesthetics of how it looks going in, but how it functions as a workspace. And that I thought was very comforting. So those were my takes. Any other thoughts? The West End? I would just encourage anyone to go look. I think there's been so much change in design and a lot of kind of creativity there. It was very different from when I worked on the school improvement team at Lafayette, and we were told, you must have this, you must have that, you must have this. They seem a lot more flexible, which is also encouraging.
Okay.
Commissioner Gosselin?
Yeah, I guess I would just add that, to the extent that we're going to talk about the West End and that conversation that all the ANC commissioners participated in during the visit, I think the bottom line message that Director Reyes Galvin and Martha Sacoccio, who is the communications director, the community engagement director for the library, presented was that libraries have changed a great deal just in the last 10 years. the use of electronic digital material is much more prevalent than it was, and I'm not sure I'm right about this, than is printed material, and that as they think about libraries, they are thinking towards a future that continues to be digital. Look, I mean, I'm a print guy. I did 50 years in newspapers. I consider it unfortunate that we're making this transition, but I think it is. They certainly think it's one that's irreversible. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Grunwald.
Yeah. So just a couple of observations from myself. As everyone seems to know, about more than 24 libraries that were rebuilt or redone or completely remodeled by the city since 2009 are freestanding libraries. And I think it would have been nice for us to also have been taken on a tour of what everyone agrees is a gorgeous library, which is the Southwest Library. So we could have made we could have compared the two. And so we could have seen what we could have gotten if we'd been selected, like all the other libraries in the district had been selected for a freestanding library. So that would have been nice to do. And I hope that a few of us, at least on this commission, will go and tour the Southwest Library on our own if we have to, because I'd really like to see the difference between a really gorgeous freestanding library in Southwest and the one that they're trying to give us now. Also, I was struck, like Peter, with how few books were in the library. And actually, there really wasn't much inside the library at all. It was a giant open space, a lot of desks, but very few books. I guess I'm just an old lady, and I found that disconcerting and disappointing. So those are my comments for the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gosselin.
Peter, you're on mute. You're muted.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I am sure that the library would be happy to organize tours of other branch libraries, the freestanding ones, and I'd be happy to join Commissioner Grunwald on a tour of the Southwest Library. I think a comparison is a useful thing to do.
Thank you, Commissioner Nagy.
Thanks. I would like to go see other libraries, including the Southwest Library, actually. So I'd like to be on this tour if it is arranged. I think we did actually ask if we could have a tour of another one, and I think the answer we got was we could go and look at it on our own, which of course we can do and should do if we can't have a guided tour of some kind. And so that's okay. We can go and see what it's all about.
And I think there are more libraries, and I know Commissioner Simmons has spoken of some, and her hand is raised.
Well, I wasn't quite finished.
Oh, I'm sorry, mi culpa.
Thank you.
Commissioner
That's
Nagy.
I've lost my train of thought. That's all right. I've lost my train of thought.
Raise your hand when you get it back. Commissioner Simmons.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you guys could go and see the Lamar Riggs library that was open during COVID. So there are other newer libraries for you to take a look at.
Great. Commissioner Nagy, you got it? Or do you want you? Okay, it'll come. All righty. Commissioner Sherman, so you had a resolution on community input for design preferences for the community center and library. Would you like to speak to that resolution?
Yeah, and I'll again share my screen. So this is the draft resolution that has been up at our website, has been circulated to members of the public. And the gist of this resolution is simply that as the community and DC Public Library, Department of Parks and Recreation, Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development head into tomorrow's initial design kickoff, it's incumbent, this resolution argues, that our district agencies take into account the wealth of data that the community has accumulated through multiple large-scale community surveys over the last 3 years. Those surveys are here on the screen, as you can see. They're known to everyone virtually, but they began with DEMPED's own survey in the spring of 2023 that was specifically on features and functions, amenities for the community center and library. It was not asking about housing. Our 2023 community survey also had a battery of questions concerning features and functions for the community center and library, in addition to questions related to preferences for the redevelopment itself. Then the 2025 Civic Core survey added additional information with respect to how a community center and library with housing should be structured and so forth. All told, there are nearly 7,000 community responses. Now, these are cumulative, of course, so the people have taken each of these 3 surveys, but that doesn't diminish any individual response. And taken as a whole, they are incredibly robust, cross-validated responses that provide a core design brief, if you will, for what's going to take place tomorrow. Now, I will add that those who were present at the meeting on Thursday night and heard me ask Rich Reyes-Gavilan the question as to whether or not DCPL had taken this body of information into account, and he said, frankly, no, not yet, that their kickoff, again, is going to be tomorrow. Now, similarly, I didn't direct the question to Brent Cisco representing DPR, but I would say this, that there has been on the part of this commission, not only the provision of data, results from all these surveys, but also resolutions from the commission that go back to 2023, a specific resolution in December of 2023 when we conveyed the results of the 2023 survey. And so resolutions and data that we provided have merited great weight. And a question as to whether or not they've received great weight up to now is therefore valid. And it does not appear, I stress, does not appear that, in fact, the data that we've provided, the resolutions, to some extent perhaps have received great weight. But I believe it's time to reiterate what we know as a community and to call on DCPL, DPR, and DEMPED to take heed of this incredible body of information, which is likely unprecedented in the history of ANCs in the District of Columbia. To have this number of survey responses over the last 3 years is extraordinary. Now, I would also add, for those of you that are students of ANC history, this is not the first time that the community has taken a look at a community center, because indeed, going back to 2016, and through a very deliberate, intentional development process that involved nearly 1,000 responses to a survey in 2017, the ANC studied in depth what our community would like to see in a modernized community center. And in fact, as many will recall, that information led to a request for proposals put together by Department of General Services and DPR that resulted in a design concept chosen by the city and briefed out to the ANC that was specifically for a modernized community center. And that modernized community center at the time would have, as envisioned, a number of features and functions that were directly related to what the community had said it wanted. So it's a very important antecedent going back to that time frame. But then most recently, as I've noted, we've got massive survey data So that all leads me in this resolution, in light of what's coming with respect to the kickoff tomorrow, to argue in this resolution that this community service record must guide the design process. It is incredibly important to take into account the city, DCPL and DPR take into account what thousands of our neighbors have said they wanted. I would underscore, at this point, if you look at the data going back to the prior development of the community center from 2016 to 2018, and what we have now, there's remarkable consistency across these surveys and these engagements of our community. So at this point, it isn't a matter of guessing what folks want. Now, I would also note that we discussed this with Rich Reyes-Gavilan at the West End Library when we were there. I brought up the survey results, and several times he referred to DCPL's process. They have their own process of engagement, and that's fair, and I understand that. At the same time, as I mentioned to him, we wanted to work together on this and make all this information not only available, as we've already done, but then ask them to take it into account. Ask them to help us understand what they have in mind. Ask them to explain to us what they propose to do as they go through that process in light of what thousands of our neighbors have had to say they want in these facilities. And I'm underscoring here, we're separating the housing out at this point. We're talking about the community center and library going forward. So there are 9 resolved sections in the resolution. The first has to do simply with that this survey record must guide the design process because of the wealth of input from neighbors, that the civic assembly space should be restored, must be restored. And that is to say that there's 9,000 square feet of space that the current library features, and that the 2018 design concept for the community center then also featured, that included, for example, an auditorium and things that people have repeatedly indicated they wanted, dedicated meeting and multipurpose rooms, performing and visual art spaces. So these are consistent over time. And from what we understand now, given the Rift Valley proposal, given the design specifications, guidelines from DPR, are not present. We've seen a net loss of 33% of the space. Commissioner Gosselin mentioned, and it's true, that, and DPR has mentioned this, they reiterated it on Thursday night, that modern community centers and libraries, certainly community centers, have an ability to use space flexibly, and that therefore there might not need to be, in their view, the same total square footage, 32,500 as we have now. They're proposing 21,600. The design brief to the bidders was 20,000. So Rift Valley had 20,000 in mind. We have 21,600 in the current proposal. But there's no accounting for where an auditorium and stage complex will be in the current program. No accounting for performing and visual art spaces. So if in fact there's flexibility in the use of space, that's an important thing. But the absence of space, without specifying where these required by residents, recommended, desired features and functions, where are they going to go? How are they going to be satisfied? So that's resolution number 2. The civic space is important irrespective of the ability to share space with the library. So in the design going forward, that there would not just be the mixed use or shared facilities, but that civic space be guaranteed, be identified and controlled, meaning that it be booked independently and able to be used by the community. I will note that Commissioner Phinizy, Chair Phinizy, had suggested that we incorporate, I've put it in yellow here, also a full-scale gym and fitness room. Commissioner Phinizy, I will say that a full-size gym, given the current allocation of 21,600 square feet for the community center, would occupy, depending upon how it's built, a full-size gym with surrounding space. It could be as much as 10,000 square feet itself. And so we might want to take a look and simply say a gym and fitness room as opposed to full scale. But in any event, we can talk about that. resolve section number 4, that the library be sized and for demonstrated and projected demand. It's a very busy library, one of the top, most heavily used libraries in the District of Columbia already. And we know that with the upzoning of Connecticut Avenue, obviously with the Civic core redevelopment itself, with 177 planned units, the demand on library services, the use of the library is going to increase, not decrease. It's only had a loss of 500 square feet in terms of the current allocation of space for the future library. But we just want to be sure that as the design goes forward, that it's being done with these things in mind. Not to say that DCPL doesn't already have this in mind. This is our statement from our community, what our neighbors have been advocating and what they would want our commission to advocate on their behalf. That the interior program be disclosed, that room by room, documenting the rooms actually, all told, is important and responsive to the community engagement that we've undertaken, and we're asking for that. The ground level civic space. We know that Rift Valley is proposing ground level and rooftop space. It has not yet clearly identified how much of that is, of the amount that they've said doubles the total space currently, how much of that is rooftop and how much of that is accessible and would be accessible to the public during, obviously, the regular hours that public could use community center facilities. So we're arguing that that needs to be provided. And that the community center square footage reduction be justified, to explain more than simply to say that modern community centers can be designed and managed more flexibly and therefore don't need so much space, given the demands, the requests from neighbors over many, many years. We think this is very, very important. So there's a proposed amendment here if in fact we're going to be adding a full-size gymnasium. This goes back to Commissioner Phinizy's suggested edit. We would have to tweak this resolve section slightly. Then finally, and this gets to the West End Library as, if not a precedent or a model, we did tour it because it is co-located with a residential facility. There are many co-location risks, and my assessment of the West End Library went into great depth and detail on these issues. But certainly the matters related to governance and security and maintenance and liability and building management and so forth, those all have to be publicly acknowledged and addressed. And so the resolution calls for that. And finally, in terms of the design, we know from the survey work that we've done, the extensive survey work, that there are differing views as to the desired features and functions by those that live in the ANC and those that live outside of the ANC. This is not in any way to suggest that other neighbors in DC shouldn't. We welcome them to use the community center and library. It is, however, the case that this is a community and center and library and an overall development that's being done in our ANC. And therefore, the principal users are going to be members of our immediate community. And so we want to ensure that the desires, the preferences of our community members are taken into account, not only into account, but that they are the principal audience that this is being designed for. At the end of the day, it is the case that it is our residents, nearby residents especially, but all Chevy Chase residents, who will also be the ones who bear the related burdens on the impacts in terms of parking, again, educational capacity, and so forth that we've talked about. So that is a run through of the resolution. I'm happy to take commissioner comments, community comments, and so forth.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Sherman. And as we take comments, just please remember to address any questions that you have of Commissioner Sherman through the chair, but he will obviously hear them and we can get them answered. Commissioner Nagy, I see your hand up.
Thank you. I wanted to say that, I think that I'm in favor of the resolution because I think that a reminder to the folks designing this, to the city, to DPR, to DPL, DCPL is a good thing. I think we want to remind them of what it is this community wants to see in these facilities that are principally, although not exclusively, going to be used by people living here in 3-4G. So I see this as relatively simple. It's sort of a simple lift. We're just saying, here it is. This is what we want you to be thinking about when you're thinking about your designs, and you can start here. And I think sending this before the kickoff is a good time to send it, because I hope that they would read this before the kickoff tomorrow.
Thank you, Commissioner Nagy. Commissioner Grunewald, I see your hand next.
Yes. This is an excellent resolution, Bruce, and thank you for writing it. I'm going to support it. I'd just like to address the elephant in the room, that we could have a full-size gym if we didn't have housing and if we didn't have 8,000 square feet of retail on the site. And then I'd also like to point out that flex space has its limitations. Many of the things that residents have requested in their new community center are going to require dedicated space, including ballet, which requires a specialized floor. A senior center would require a specialized space, as would areas for very small children. A wood shop and a workshop would require dedicated space. So would theater space. So would civic space. So I really do believe that we're going to have a problem trying to bend and move this space to try to accommodate things. And we're not, and I think people are going to be disappointed in our community when they are not going to get the programs that they requested, because there's not enough space, because the housing is taking up most of the site, and the 8,000 square feet of retail is taking up a huge amount. Instead of that 8,000 square feet of retail, think of what we could have had there. A gorgeous senior center. Ward 3 is the only ward in the city that doesn't have a dedicated senior center. When we have tons of elderly and seniors, elderly people and seniors living
order, Chair Phinizy.
Thank you very much. Every time I speak, I'm interrupted by Commissioner Simmons. It's extraordinary. Thank you so much.
Please state your point.
Chair Phinizy, my point of order is related to misinformation. At our meeting last week, DPR provided the community that we will not lose any of our programming. So I just want to make sure that we're not communicating information that is not true.
May I? Hello.
I'm just digesting this, because DPR did say that we weren't going to lose programming, but we haven't seen the allocation of space. So I don't know that we can say that what Commissioner Grunewald said was not true, but I don't know that
Chair Phinizy,
we can say that it's not. So I'm going to say
you rule
that's
on my
not well
point
taken.
of order?
Yes, I'm thinking through it. So I'm thinking it's not well taken because we don't know, because we haven't seen the allocation of space yet, and we haven't seen dedicated programming. So we don't know. That's what we've been told, but we don't know.
Point of order isn't well taken, how can we say that we won't have it if we don't know?
So that is her opinion.
Chair Phinizy, may I speak, please?
That is her opinion, and I think she may say that, but I think that we don't know for sure. Commissioner Grunewald, yes.
May I speak? Thank you so much. It's extraordinary how whenever I speak on this commission, I get interrupted by Commissioner Simmons with a point of order. I expressed my own opinion. I used my rational mind to look at this proposal. I used my very fine, educated mind. I looked at all the numbers. I ran it through other people. I worked with other people on this commission to analyze this. I worked with the neighbors to analyze this proposal. And anyone with a rational mind can see that there's not enough room for all these things on this site. There's not enough room for all the programs that people want in our community, want in their community center. This is my opinion, and I'm allowed to speak.
Commissioner Simmons, please state your point.
She's naming me inappropriately.
In what manner? Please explain.
The rational mind. I have a right to make a point of order, so move on.
Okay, so she should not say rational mind. Is that your?
Yes,
Is that your
she's
order?
I'm addressing you, Chair.
Mhm.
That I interrupted, that the rational mind, no one had said she did not have a rational mind. All I stated in the point of order is that we need to make sure we're communicating facts to the community, and saying opinions that is not true. So my point of order didn't go through because we don't know. So I don't think it's appropriate for other commissioners to have their opinion without possible facts.
Okay, so I'm going to say in this case, we'll say point taken, well taken. I would ask that we say it seems that, and then give what the facts seem to us. And that way it is our opinion, but we can say what it seems to us based on our analysis.
Yes, and then finally,
I think we can go forward. I think we can go forward with that. Thank you.
Commissioner, I can
Okay,
have a
but we need
point
to,
of order.
we need
I would like
to,
to.
I
I
have
would like-
done the point of order. I ruled it well taken. If anyone chooses to appeal it.
Yes,
I think
Yes, I would
Yeah,
like
we
so
need
with
to not run out the
Phinizy,
clock
with-
on the
with
points of
point
order.
of orders, I should be able to bring them up instead of commissioners saying every time I speak, she brings point of order. If anyone speaks anything inappropriate or misinformation or not following point of orders, I'm gonna call it out. So
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons, but I think we can agree that the fewer points of order, the more quickly we can proceed. So let's hope that we can have a smooth meeting going forward. Thank you. Commissioner Goslin.
Chair, I would like to appeal your decision.
Okay, so
I believe I'm entitled.
Mhm.
Can you hear me? I believe I'm
Yeah.
entitled, like every other commissioner, to analyze a material and provide my analysis. And that's what I did. I used my fine mind to do that.
Right, I think.
My years of education to do that.
Okay, so is this, should this chair's ruling be sustained? We're going to need everybody to put their hands down for a moment, please, so that we can have a vote on that. Thank you. Mr. Baden, if you can put your hand down also, it's just a little hard to see on the screen. All right, all those who believe the chair's ruling should be sustained, please say aye. Okay, I see Commissioner 6, Single Member District 6, Single Member District 4. Okay, but please put your hands down. All those who feel the chair's ruling should not be sustained, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, that is Single Member District 2, Single Member District 3, Single Member District 7. Commissioner Simmons, I did not see your hand. So
I spoke before this. And I raised my hand.
okay, so did you vote yes or no? I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
Yes.
Okay. So it is 3-3. So I believe my ruling is sustained. Okay, let us go on then. The commissioners who had their hands raised before, and Mr. Vaden had his hands before. Commissioner Goslin. All right, let's just all remember when we're given our analysis, I think it seems, okay? And then that way, with our own good analysis, if it differs from anybody else's, we'll all be in the pink and we can move quickly. Commissioner Goslin.
Yes, and going back to the substance of the resolution, letting the rest of the commissioners know that Commissioner Sherman and I have traded various drafts subsequent to his May 27th draft. I have no problem conveying to the city in some formal way the results of our surveys over many years. I have no problem encouraging the city to use that information in the design process for these two public institutions. What troubled me about the original resolution, which we effectively are now going back to because Commissioner Sherman and I could not agree on several things about the original resolution, is that it effectively uses the existing community center and library, which I think most people in this community would agree is a terrible facility and very much in need of replacement, as a metric for judging what the city proposes to do with new resolutions. A case in point is that in the original resolution, it talks about this. It gets this 32,000 and change square foot figure from what Commissioner Sherman called DPR's design guidelines, but they weren't design guidelines. It's an old engineering study of measuring the existing community center. The notion that we should use a building that this committee, I think by a large majority agrees should be replaced as the metric for judging the replacement does not make sense to me. And it rhetorically, in the structure of the original resolution, which we are going back to, the fault for this this figure is used as a denominator, and then it's compared to a figure that DPR and the community, the DPR and the library have said are the orders of magnitude size of facilities they want to build, which is sort of in the order of 21,000 square feet. To say
Commissioner
that,
Gosselin, if you could wrap it up. Yeah.
to say that we're losing a third of space, and I would just say that that is using a strange denominator, a denominator I don't think we ought to use, and it credits the loss to housing, and I don't think that's fair. One of the things, and perhaps the most important thing that both institutions said at the meeting last week, was that the facilities they are building, the modern facilities they are building elsewhere in this city, are of the order of 21,000 square feet. So we got close to agreeing. I'm making an amendment that conveys this information and asks that it be a central part of the design process, but we just weren't able to get.
I appreciate your work together, and I think that augurs well for the future of our conversation. Commissioner Nagy.
Sorry, thank you. I just want to point out that I had to lower my hand so that people could see the timer. So I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage. I would, though, like to speak sometime soon, but I'll put my hand out so that you can see the timer. Okay.
I'm calling on you. Do you not want to speak now?
Well,
go ahead.
I'm a little out of order. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Thank you.
I've got the commissioner. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Well, I would say in response to the critique that we're looking at the building as the metric or model of what we want. And no, I think what we're looking at is what the community has said multiple times it wants to see at a building, and that the building then therefore needs to fit what the community wants to see at that building. And I would note that one of the things that wasn't mentioned was fencing, which if you've been to the community center and seen the fencing set up, it's very particular. It's got wires on the ceiling. You need to have a high ceiling, and it has to be dedicated space. It can't be converted into flex space. It's just not like that. So I think the perception of it as that we want to replicate the building is not correct. I think what we want to do is make it our best effort to get the city to replicate what kinds of programs the community has already said multiple times it wants to see, not the building itself. And if that takes a bigger building, it takes a bigger building. And I think that we really do need to understand that if we had the entire property to work with, we could have a bigger building for both the library if we needed it or the community center. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Nagy. I'm going to go now to the constituents who've been waiting. And then I'll get Commissioner Grunewald and Simmons again. Sorry, Christopher Vaden.
Thanks. I just wanted to say, I think the final paragraph that insists that residents of this ANC are the principal users of these facilities is, to me, offensively self-centered. There are plenty of people in 3E and 3F who use these public facilities, and some of them live closer to those facilities than people up in Hawthorne or Barnaby Woods. And I think the point has been made on the listserv that things like the fencing program and the ballet program draw people from all over the city. So to say that, consider us first, I think just reflects very poorly on our community and on this ANC. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Vaden. Cheryl Barnes.
Thank you. I felt that 3-4G has been through an awful lot in answering all of the questions that we've answered for years, not to have had this taken into consideration yet. I was taken aback at the meeting the other night to hear that all this data really hasn't been considered. And I think that this is a huge disservice by DPR and DPL employees not to have looked at the mountain of data that the 3-4G ANC has provided to it. And I hope that everyone will wholeheartedly support this resolution being put in front of their faces again as a strict reminder that we've worked really hard on this as a community to make all of this very clear for these people. They shouldn't just be ignoring us like this. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes. Okay, now back to Commissioner Grunewald.
Yes. Do we have a motion, Chair? Do we have a motion before us at this time? Because I would like to vote on this.
We do not have a motion on the floor. We are still discussing.
Okay, well, can I move that we vote on this?
You can call the question, and
I'd like to call the question and vote on it. Thank you.
Yeah, it would need to pass by a supermajority vote.
That's fine.
All right, so Commissioner Grunewald has called the question. That makes we stop our discussion and we would go straight to a vote. Okay. Sorry, I'm just I write down in my matrix so I can make sure I know who voted. All right. Commissioner Simmons and Lisa Gore, need your hands down while we vote. Take this vote.
We get rid of the Chevy Chase community comparison thing before you vote.
Yes, we can do that. Okay. So all those in favor of calling the question proceeding immediately debate, raise a hand, say aye.
You were responding to a constituent who asked if we discuss the chart before we do this, though?
No, she wanted to close it so that we could see the vote. I thought so. And it's much easier for me to see the faces when we vote if we're not sharing screen. Okay. So all those who want to call a question and proceed to a vote, 2, 3, 5, 7. Where's Commissioner Gosselin is not up. Commissioner Simmons is not up. Okay.
Chair, I need a roll call vote, please.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm looking. So SMD 02, yes. 03, yes. 07, yes. All right, put your hands down. All those opposed, say nay. Okay. Commissioner Gosselin, Commissioner Phinizy, And Commissioner Simmons, say nay. Okay, so we will not call the question right yet. We'll have a little more discussion and then we can, I think, proceed to a vote with not a supermajority needing to call that. Okay, Commissioner Simmons? Commissioner Simmons, did you wish to speak? Commissioner Simmons, you're muted.
Community. I'm not muted. Can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you now. I can hear you now. Yeah.
I'm muted. Okay. So I just want to remind the community that DPR has said that 32,000 includes unusable space to the site. So for instance, I believe there's a boiler room, probably not going to be the same size of an HVAC. Also, I just want to remind the community, DCPL has said that they will remove information from these documents and surveys that. And then finally, before you renovate your home, you not get any workup, designs, or anything from an architect or a contractor until you have a contract. And I just think it's not for us to say that we should have the whole design, should have the space, we should know where things go is not reasonable, because this isn't something that we as homeowners would do when we're renovating our home. We first get the contract, and we haven't done that yet because the contract is solidified after the council. So expecting them to have fully done is not reasonable.
Thank you, Commissioner Gosselin. Lisa Gore?
That was Commissioner
Just
Simmons.
a point of order. just
Sorry,
just
state your point. State your point.
The last comments were Commissioner Simmons, not Gosselin. You thanked me for her comments. So
I am sorry. But I appreciate. Yes. Okay. I don't know how I got y'all mixed up. I'm so sorry. All right, Lisa Gore.
Thank you. First of all, thanks to the commission for not passing that last vote, because I did have my hand up to speak.
Oops, sorry. No, sorry. Sorry, that wasn't for you, Lisa. That was from the previous. Okay, but I will start the timer now.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind the community and the commission that DC Public Library and the DPR did say that they had not considered the data that the commission has sent them through the years. But just a reminder that the kickoff for the first meeting to launch the pre-design informational sessions with the community is tomorrow. I think it's premature to make that statement. What they said is that they would consider that. And I know that they got information from the community today, and that information is passed on to the design team. So I think it's unfair that the community is given the impression that that information is not going to be considered by the design team, because it is. They are just now getting to the stage to consider that information tomorrow. Now, if the commission finds that after tomorrow and through the pre-design stage that information is not taken into consideration, then you can make that claim. But I don't think right now we can make that claim. And additionally, with the size of the facilities, DPR and DCPL have stated multiple times that the programming is not lost, and there's no guarantee if housing or retail is not on a site that is what would prevent you getting the square footage that you're asking for in this resolution. From my understanding, this information is almost like what we call design specs. You know, if your office throughout the country is 2,500 square feet, that's what you get throughout the country, 2,500 square feet. I don't know why this is any different.
Thank you, Lisa Gore. Commissioner Nagy?
Thank you. Okay, so I would point out as I did the other night at the community center meeting with DEMPED, that I perhaps it's just that I take issue with the way DC does procurement, but I actually am a government contracts attorney in my other life, or I was, and I also worked on nuclear submarine contracts in my other life. And the idea that you would sign a contract and then figure out what is included in the contract is really anathema to me. So it may be that I'm just not on board with how DC does procurement, and I can lobby for change in that regard. But I would say again, it's not that we're saying that we need the square footage per se. What we're saying is that we want the programs. And I don't think that the idea that there's nothing that should have prevented DC from looking at what we've been asking for years now in our library and community center before the kickoff. I don't understand the intransigence of the city on this point. It makes no sense to me at all. So neither does the contracting process here. I mean, it seems to me that you give a contractor specs in your house, you give a contractor specs and you ask them how much it's going to cost. You don't sign a contract and then say, oh, by the way, I want all these things included. And when you do that, what you get is enormous change orders and enormous cost overruns. I don't get this at all. As a contracts lawyer, this makes no sense to me.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Nagy. I have Commissioner Sherman, Andrea Rosen, Commissioner Sherman.
Yeah, I just want to make a few points and then very briefly review this community center comparison chart because I think it's instructive. The DCPL and DPR provided design guidelines to the bidders, and the time to incorporate the DEMPED features and functions, preferences by our community for the community center and library, and the same information from our 2023 ANC survey was then. There was ample opportunity for them to incorporate those preferences into their design guidelines. Those did not make their way into those documents. The bidders did not have those guidelines when they were bidding on the project. So what I want to show you is, and I want to stress the point, that the square footage issue, as Commissioner Nagy was saying, is not the point. The point is what our community has asked for, what previously in 2018, the ANC endorsed based on community preferences, expressed in a survey with nearly 1,000 respondents and multiple community engagements that DPR and DGS then took into account for their requests for proposals, delivered to various bidders, and reflected in the program that was then revealed to the community. We have to keep in mind, an entire design was done for a new community center and library based on community input. And this chart reveals the comparison between here, the current community center, the 2018 modernization program, and the 2026 DPR design guidelines. What we're saying, and the problem is that these areas specified programs, features of a community center by our community that exists now, or in a limited way exists now, were actually accounted for almost item by item in 2018, yielding what the ANC then specified as a required 32,550 square feet. That was net square feet. That is program space. So all of the additional space, the hallways, the bathrooms, so forth, those were separate.
Okay, thank you.
They're not identified in the design specs here from DPR. That's motivating this resolution.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Sherman. Andrea Rosen. Andrea, I believe you're muted.
Hold on. Okay.
You're there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you, Bruce. So glad that you covered that part of it because I would have stumbled over it. So what I want to say sort of in closing is that the community has been asked to participate multiple times since 2018, and it has come forward and done so. And then to have it sort of so cavalierly left on the cutting room floor, to hear the government say, no, they didn't look at it. I mean, some of the outreach was actually done by the government, and we've been through all these exercises like our RFP, what's important to you, and sticky notes, and all kinds of 1-on-4 meetings with the Office of Planning. And then to find that all of that input is utterly ignored, and they're going to start over and solicit our input now. I mean, people have fallen by the wayside in exhaustion. They've died, it's just, it shows a certain, how do I say, contempt for the people that the government is supposed to serve. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Andrea. Mary Callahan. Mary,
Can you hear me?
we can hear you.
Okay. I just want to say, as a community member, that libraries and community centers are some of the most important institutions in our society, and that has been documented by the NEH, by many other organizations. And when we reduce those spaces, they become something else. And in addition, when we're talking about fewer library books, we're also talking about things like the Internet Archive, which people have been relying on for resources, and which have been put back by many other commercial enterprises in the country. So this is serious in terms of education and community life.
Thank you, Mary. If I may, I'd like to add a brief comment. I truly hope that, and I'm not going to put words in Rich's mouth, but I had just such a different takeaway when we went to the library. And I hope that what he was saying was that they have not incorporated the comments from us into a design yet, because he mentioned a fellow, I believe his name was Jeff Hooper, who was going to be taking the older information and the newer information together. I hope that's what he meant, and that they have looked at it, but just haven't started putting it design yet. I'm holding out a little faith in there, but I did want to ask if Commissioner Sherman could show that last part of the resolution, and maybe consider, can you share screen, that last paragraph to Mr. Vaden's point? If when we go to vote on it, I might ask that we amend it and remove that paragraph. I do think we are principal users, but I think if we ask them to consider what we want, then we will get a good deal for our community. But I think Mr. Vaden's point about the tone of paragraph 9 might come across wrong, and it might be worth removing for that point, because we could get, if we get the square footage, if we get attention to our survey results, if we get attention to our community feedback, we'd get a good feature, a good facility. Sorry. So that's my thought.
Okay. I'm amenable to editing this resolved or eliminating it altogether. I would like to hear my fellow commissioners who would be certainly in support of the resolution, their views on this before I unilaterally say that we would strike this. The effort here is not to, again, it already indicates that survey responses from non-ANC residents are informative. We're not dismissing those views, and what we don't go into detail on here is that, again, it's going to be the residents of Chevy Chase, specifically those that are nearest to that property, that are going to bear the greatest burdens, the impacts of that development in terms of parking and other things that we've talked about many times. So this is the preference then. And also, we speak for our ANC. We only represent one part. There are 46 ANCs in the District of Columbia. Other ANCs have already weighed in on the community center and library, the Civic Core, and they're welcome to do that. And DEMPED and others will take their views into account.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons.
Yes, I am in support of removing number 9, resolved. And as the previous commissioner mentioned, the residents closest to the site, especially my constituents, are supportive of this project. So I would like to see it removed because in my minority opinion from another resolution I talked about how this library and community center site is, we may think that we're the only principal users, but a lot of, Ward 3 utilize this site as their main site. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So it sounds as if we may have some consensus on this resolution, minus the last resolved paragraph. Commissioner Sherman, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, but I would also like to come back to your prior suggested edits and just confirm that we would strike full-scale gym because, again, that could impose a burden on the square footage or on the specifications that we don't necessarily intend. A full-size gym is a big proposition, right? Maybe up to 10,000 square feet. So it gives outsized importance just by virtue of what it implies. If in fact we leave that in. So would it be all right by you simply, since you proposed this, to incorporate a gym as opposed to calling it a full-scale gym?
I mean, I think you make your motion and you can make your motion with it or without it, and we can amend it. But if it had the word gym in it, I would be fine. But you need to make your motion for what you want it to say.
Okay, all right.
So, yeah. Because we can't amend it until we have an emotion. So
no, I'm happy to do it. But
yeah.
Commissioner Greenwald has her hand up, so I don't know if you.
Okay, Commissioner Grunwald.
Yeah, I'm in favor of leaving the last paragraph in. And also I'd like to know from Commissioner Sherman whether the full-size gym or any gym was included in the surveys. Were our constituents asked about a gym, putting a gym or a full-size gym in? Because if they weren't, I don't think it's appropriate to put it in this resolution, since it's the first time anybody will have been hearing about it.
Yeah. So just on that point, it was not in the survey in 2023. A gym was not identified as a feature. Nor was it in, as I recall, the DEMPED survey, also in 2023. It was included in 2018 previously. But we're making specific reference in this resolution, as you all know, to these surveys.
Right.
The full-size gym was not in there.
Yeah. So
but the gym itself was not in. Right.
Chair Phinizy, I believe, Commissioner, can I ask Commissioner Sherman if it was in the 2025 survey?
No.
No. Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Simmons.
Yes, Chair Phinizy, I just want to remind you that all comments should be directed to you and commissioners should not be talking to each other. I just want to point out to the community that the design guidelines for DPR had a design guideline for a gym. So in the design guideline, it requested ballet floor, gym, fencing. So that is one of the requirements or specifications that DPR asked for whoever bid or submitted a request for a proposal to have them. So I would ask for this resolved in reference to a gym to be removed because, again, that's one of the requirements that they have for the design guideline.
Thank you. And Commissioner Nagy. I believe you're on mute.
I know. Thank you. I'm doing time, I'm doing muting. It's all a lot. Bruce, excuse me, Chair Phinizy, would you ask Commissioner Sherman to put the resolution back up for a moment, please?
I will ask Commissioner Sherman to put the resolution back up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And could you ask him please to go to the top of the resolution?
Yes. Could you please go to the top of the resolution?
Thank you. And then I guess I would ask the question through you of Commissioner Sherman. Is the purpose of this, or perhaps as I understand it, the purpose of this is to remind DEMPED and DPR of what the community wants to see, not to weigh in on their current design guidelines or what they did in the RFP, but rather to say, this is what we want as a community to see. And I'm going to get to the last paragraph in 1 second, but if Commissioner Sherman could answer that question, I'd appreciate it.
Commissioner Sherman?
Yeah, that's right. And if we went by what's already in the design guidelines and selectively removed references to features and functions that are in the design guidelines, that would necessitate a number of other edits of the resolution.
Thank you. All right.
So, Tennessee, I'm still not quite done. I want to comment on that last paragraph. If you would, ask Commissioner Sherman to go down to that last paragraph.
I think we're here. Yeah.
Thank you. Yep, I see it. Thank you. I'm wondering if there's some way to edit this to convey that that the people in 3-4G, as Commissioner Sherman had said, excuse me, this is not Commissioner Simmons' point of view, I know, or at least I believe, are the principal users of this. Is there some way to restructure this or reword it so that we can make it clear that this is an ANC 3-4G resolution, and therefore we are conveying the thoughts of 3-4G, not 3F, not 3E, and 3E has weighed in on what it thinks about our community center, as has Cleveland Park. So people feel quite free to weigh in on what they think about what we're doing, but this is our resolution and we get to say what's in our resolution, not other ANCs.
I would ask, thank you, Commissioner Nagy. If we're going to pass a motion, it's going to get kind of tricky with amendments, but what I would suggest is perhaps that if Commissioner Sherman wants to make a motion to pass this resolution, and then we're going to need to make some amendments, okay? Yeah, I think we need to go ahead and make a motion for the resolution, and then there'll be an amendment or two, depending on how many people want to take out.
So I move that we adopt the resolution. Do I have a second?
You do.
Okay. So
Chair Phinizy, so are we about to vote on this resolution as is, and then after that go into the changes to it? I'm not really understanding how that will work, because if we're voting on it as is, then no changes should be made.
Correct. So what happens? So you have a motion to, I wish I had my little figurines from the training that I took where they had little dinosaurs playing up. But so you have your main motion, right? And then if you want to change the motion, there's something you want to remove or change. You could say, for example, I move to amend to change the resolve section 9 to say that this design, this resolution reflects the preference of ANC 3-4G residents, and replace the current text with this. And then we would vote on that amendment. And then if that amendment changed, then we'd go back and vote on the whole motion, because it would be a changed resolution. So if there's a change that you would like to make, as opposed to voting it up or down, you can make an amendment. I don't know if I explained that well.
I think you did.
But if But right now, it would pass as is, but if somebody wanted to make an amendment, they could. If it would pass or fail as is, but if somebody wants to change something before we vote on it, this is a time to make an amendment.
I would like to amend that paragraph 9 is removed.
Okay. I will second that amendment. All those in favor of removing paragraph 9 from the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
So that's Commissioner number 5. Commissioner number 4 says aye. I do not. Commissioner number 6 says aye. All those opposed say nay. And Commissioners number 3 and 7.
Nay.
Nay. And did I see Commissioner number 2, Bruce, did
It's
you
me,
vote?
Chair Phinizy. We
Okay.
have the public voting. So if
I'm not counting them. I'm only counting commissioners.
Okay.
Thank you. Bruce, did you vote yay or nay to
Nay.
strike? Nay. Okay, so we have 3 yays and 3 nays. So does the motion pass? Is paragraph 9 removed? My brain is tired. I can't do math right now.
No,
It fails.
It fails. Okay, so paragraph 9 stays. Okay, so now we have the motion to pass the resolution in total because paragraph 9 did not get removed. And it was seconded, correct?
The motion was seconded, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So all those in favor? I'm sorry.
Sorry, I just need to point out that we do have the issue of your prior suggested edits, which involve the full-size gym, which we would amend to include just a gym.
Okay, can you show that on the screen and we'll vote on that amendment, please? And hopefully my brain can tick a little faster.
Okay, it's this
Okay.
part right here.
Okay, do you want to remove all of that text?
No, remove full-scale gym.
Okay,
Hey,
so
Jim.
to change that text to say that the footage be maintained at a current level to incorporate a gym and fitness room?
Right, and then the following text, ANC 34G requests, and this would be here. We remove full-size basketball court because you can't have a full-size basketball court unless you have a full-size gym. So we
Okay.
would remove that reference.
Okay, so we're taking out full-scale gym and full-size basketball court.
Yes, that's
And
and then coming down to the proposed resolve section 7.
Mhm.
Similarly,
Mhm.
as I'm on the screen now,
Mhm.
hiding again, full-size gymnasium, that would come out.
Okay,
Or it would simply reference a gym. In other words, we'd just make the language consistent in the following section.
okay. So the amendment would be to propose to remove the words full scale in reference to gym, full scale basketball court, and full size in reference to gym.
Right.
Is that correct? Okay.
Correct.
All right. Do I have a second on that amendment?
I'll second.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Nagy. All right. All those 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All those in favor of removing the words full scale, full size to refer to gym, and full scale basketball court, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that's number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, and number 7. Okay, so by a vote of 6-0, that language has been removed. Are there any other amendments before we go vote on the motion? Mary, I'm not going to call on you at this time because we're in the middle of voting here. Okay, no further amendments? Okay, so now we'll motion to adopt the resolution with the language about full scale, full size, and full scale basketball court removed. All those in favor of adopting the resolution indicate by saying aye. Commissioner 2, Commissioner 3, Commissioner 4, Commissioner 6, no, Commissioner 7, yes. Okay, hands down, please. All those in favor, all those opposed, say nay. Okay, and that's Commissioner 5 and Commissioner 6. So by a vote of 4-2, the motion passes.
Chair Phinizy, I'll have a minority report for this resolution.
Okay, and so I would ask Commissioner Sherman, would you please coordinate with Commissioner Simmons, because the minority report needs to be submitted with the resolution, but I understand this is a quick turnaround on this resolution.
Well, we're not going to turn around. The ideal thing, of course, is that we would have this to the parties tomorrow. That's not going to happen.
Right.
So the quick turnaround is not quite as fast as obviously would be the case if we were trying to do that, but as expeditiously as possible. I would like to enter into the record that I would provide a response to the minority opinion. I need to do that officially on the record in order for that to stand and to submit that with the total package.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Nagy?
Thanks. I'd like to move that we set a date for that minority report to be submitted, please, and that it not be in the far distant future.
No, okay. Commissioner Simmons, do you think by Friday, June 12th, would that be adequate?
Anybody want to second my motion though?
No, I just want to.
All right, I'll make it not a motion. I'll make it a suggestion.
Make it not a motion. Let's see if we can just do this. Can we do it by June 12th, do you think, Commissioner Simmons? Commissioner Simmons, you're still on mute.
I was checking my calendar.
Oh, okay.
So today is gone.
Uh-huh.
Can I have to Sunday?
So June 14th?
14th, yeah.
Okay. And then on June 14th, we can get it to them then that can go to them by June 15th,
yeah.
next Monday.
And then, yes. And then I just have what do our bylaws say, or what does ANC say in regards to minority opinions? Because, I don't know if these documents are like back and forth. The commission provides a resolution and I do a minority report. I'm not sure that our bylaws speak to that, because then you could just keep having. Then I could request to do a response to the minority response opinion.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to have to. If you want me to speak to that right now, I'd have to pull up our bylaws unless you've got them handy.
No, I don't want you. I would like for you to, Chair Phinizy, I would like for you to get back to us, because the commission passes a resolution that should be the end of it, and my minority opinion should be the end of it. So if you could,
there is an ability to do a response. I'm just I don't have the right at the top of fingertips. Commissioner Simmons,
I'm okay
sorry,
with the
Commissioner Sherman.
Yeah,
I will.
Just to advise, I did research this, and it is the case that you're allowed, as I understand it, OANC can provide further information on this or guidance, but that it needs to be registered at the time that the minority opinion and the resolution are registered on the record. Otherwise, there is no ability to provide a response to the minority opinion on the record.
Yeah, I think that does sound correct, but I'll have to follow up and check. I'm sorry, I don't have that information.
Can you pull it up now?
It's not.
Are you still amenable to pull it up now, Chair Phinizy?
It's not in the bylaws. Chair Phinizy, I had my hand up. Sorry.
Commissioner Nagy?
It's not in the bylaws.
It's not on a minority opinion?
I don't think it is in the bylaws. I think it's covered by ANC rules. So I don't think there's any point to pulling up the bylaws on this point.
Give me just a second. I'm gonna go to
My hand was up for a different reason, and that is that we're now talking 6 days for the minority opinion to be issued. So I'd actually like to suggest that commissioners, that we ask for the minority opinion by Saturday, so that Commissioner Sherman has Sunday to file his rebuttal to the minority report. And that this can get to DPR and DPL by Monday. I mean, we're now days away from when we wanted to have this there.
Okay, it looks like it's Article 7, Section 2. So let me see. That's where
Is
it
in the
actually
bylaws?
is.
Okay.
I'm gonna look. Okay. Let's see. Commissioners are entitled. Okay, so Article 7, Section 2B. Commissioners are entitled to submit a concurring or minority opinion in case they take a different position from the commission majority vote. Concurring or minority opinions may be submitted with the majority opinion on ANC 34G stationery, providing said opinions are clearly indicated as concurring or minority as submitted to the ANC 3G office in time to be submitted with a majority opinion. I do not see a response to the minority opinion, but I do, it's ringing a bell. So I think we will need to follow up on that. Okay, I don't see it quickly in our bylaws, but that does sound familiar. And I don't want to speak incorrectly.
So Chair Phinizy, since it's not mentioned, then, I mean, does that mean it's
Point of
allowed?
order, Chair.
Point of order. Yeah.
Point of order, Chair.
Sorry, state your point.
Yeah, my point is that there's one commissioner here who feels that she can speak whenever she likes. The rest of us have to raise our hands and be called on by the chair.
Okay, point taken. Please raise your hand to be recognized. Okay, I will look into the bylaws of the response to not just the bylaws, but also other documents that may govern the way that the ANCs function, because there are the DC codes as well as the bylaws, and then Robert's rules if the bylaws are silent on the matter. And so I'll just need to double check on that. But I'll get back to you, Commissioner Sherman. To Commissioner Nagi's point, if we could do it on Saturday, that would give by Saturday evening, that would give Commissioner Sherman time to do his response. Okay. All right. Does that work? Saturday evening? Commissioner Simmons?
No.
It will not work?
No, it's still Sunday
works
best for me.
So then I take you back to the bylaws then, because they provided the minority opinion is released by the time of the majority opinion. And so the majority opinion is ready to go. So,
yes. So
according to the bylaws, there's no provision for actually waiting. Let me pull it up again. There's no provision. It would be a courtesy to wait, but there's nothing requiring Commissioner Sherman to wait. And so if he's ready to launch, then you would need to do that very quickly. So I'm just going to go back to it. Provided said opinions are submitted to the ANC 34G office in time to be submitted with the majority opinion. So then if it is just not ready and he's ready first, then there's nothing that would prevent it being sent out without your opinion. So I would encourage you to get it done expeditiously, because there's nothing requiring him to wait in our bylaws. That may be something we want to address later, but right now it's not in our bylaws. Commissioner Sherman?
I'm happy to have Commissioner Simmons allow her to have until Sunday. We would then distribute this Monday, Tuesday. We could push that by a day. I don't think that the world's going to come to an end if that happens. So if Simmons needs until Sunday, that's fine by me.
Okay. Well, then would that work for everybody then? Commissioner Simmons, would that work for you? Sunday?
Yes. Okay. Because I work I have a
Thank you.
life outside of ANC, so thank you very much.
I'm glad you do. I'm not sure I do anymore. Okay. All right. Well, great. Thank you so much. All right. We are going now to commission business. Treasurer's report, Commissioner Sherman.
Yeah. So let me go to, hang on a second. I'm going to pull up a couple of documents. I'm just retrieving them, so hang on. Okay.
Is there a problem sharing the screen? Am I okay?
No, you're okay. I'm just pulling up
Okay.
the documents. I've got a million documents on my screen from what we were just doing. So I'm just sorting through all these to make sure that I have a clear field here. That's all I'm doing. It'll just be 1 second. Okay. So let me come back and share. Okay. You can see the screen. So we have $57,078.59 in the bank. This is the treasurer's report. We've had very few expenditures and obviously no sources of income. We haven't received a recent allotment. This is the May report. The major expense for the month of May was our disbursement of the grant funds to Goods for Good for $2,000. Okay. And then there's a credit. So I'm going to explain the credit by looking at the April report. Let me just come back to the April report and cover that as well. I'm doing April and May reports here. So in April, we had 3 different expenses. The first, PNC Bank charged us $95 for the wire transfer for the payment of the subscription for Go Vocal. And I subsequently learned from the Office of the Advisory Neighborhood Commissions that bank fees for transfers of funds are not permitted. So we have a $95 expense that I'm working out with OANC in terms of how we accommodate that, if we can. I will simply mention to you that when I paid Go Vocal, I asked them if I could use a debit card. They said no. They asked that it be wired. And we went back and forth on that, and they said it needs to be wired. So I went into PNC Bank and I had the money wired from our account, not knowing, because I'm new to the treasurer's job, you learn as you go on these things, that that is not an authorized expense. So there's $95 there. I will say this, Commissioner Simmons.
Sorry, just go through the chair, Commissioner Sherman. Commissioner Simmons?
Yes, I just, so last year, the payment to Go Vocal. So I'm just wondering why, if we Go Vocal told us that they didn't take debit cards, why we didn't, maybe ask the prior chair, not the chair, previous treasurer how the payment was made, or ask Go Vocal how the payment was made in 2025. And then my understanding is that if the charge isn't allowed, who's going to be responsible for making the ANC whole for that $95? Or are they going to take it out of our allotment for our next allotment?
Yeah, well, so Chair Phinizy, shall I answer that? You're muted.
Thank you, Commissioner Sherman. Would you be so kind as to answer that?
Yeah, so I've discussed it with the OANC. They've asked that I ask Go Vocal to refund it. I can do that. If at the end of the day this becomes an issue, I will pay it myself. Again, I didn't know that this couldn't be done. It seemed to me to be a perfectly reasonable thing to do. They asked that it be wired, and I wired them the money. It didn't seem to me to represent a problem or an issue. But in any event, I'm not going to make a big issue out of this. If in fact it becomes something that needs to be paid, I'll pay it. If they won't refund it. So I'm just explaining to you what happened.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Sherman. Are there any further questions? I see Commissioner Goslin has his hand.
Let me just say, I'd be happy to contribute towards that if it comes out of your pocket, Bruce. So split it with you. I mean, we need to get on to the rest of the business of the evening and end this meeting.
Right.
Okay, super. Thank you. Okay, so there's nothing to approve, correct?
No, these are just reports. Let me just note, though, something that I want to be completely transparent about. There is a charge on the account in April of $15.99 that was refunded in May for $15.99. This was at a Southern Market, it's called, in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, when I was visiting there. And inadvertently, the clerk at the place took my card, the debit card, as opposed to my personal card, and it got put on the ANC account. And when I saw that on I didn't realize it happened at the time because there was a mix-up with the cards. I got back to them and they credited the account. So this is a wash between April and May. There's a $15.99 that went on it and $59.99 that came off of it. So that's the explanation for that.
Okay, are there any further questions? Commissioner Simmons?
Yes, so I just wanted to ask if you could ask Commissioner Sherman that did he just say that the server inadvertently took the ANC's debit card for the purchase? And then Chair Phinizy, can you also recall my memory if we got to see the April Treasurer's report? I believe we saw the last quarter report. So those are my questions.
I'd have to look back in the minutes for the April Treasurer's report. We've had a couple of meetings since then. So Commissioner Sherman, do you want to speak to those questions about either the April's Treasurer's report or the other question?
We were doing the quarterly financial report, as all will recall, the last meeting, and I'm doing the April and May reports now.
All right, Commissioner Gore.
So I have a question and a comment. Question is, was this transaction reported to Office of ANC? And did they give instructions on what to do? And the comment is, if this is found in audit, it's going to be a problem. So the commission should have documentation on the record. And I absolutely defer to Office of ANC, but I have never seen a transaction that would occur in this manner to be left unattended by the government agency in which it incurred. It is a low dollar amount. I get that, but this could turn into an issue. And the ANC should have documentation to explain what occurred. And I would defer to the advice of OANC. And if we have not reported it to OANC, it needs to be reported immediately.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Gore. Commissioner Goslin?
I just say that it seems to me that we're putting together a record by Bruce reporting this. And Bruce, I encourage you to listen to Commissioner Gore, and if it hasn't been reported to OANC, report it. But our meetings on a regular basis at the end right now end up with debates about these reports. And I think that that's unfortunate. We're talking about $15 and some odd cents. And I don't understand why we need to make a fight about every single treasurer's report.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner Goslin. Commissioner Gore?
Yes, I'm just going to say I think the statement was extremely unfair, and I think the statement totally slaps in the face of our fiduciary duty. We are not making statements about every single treasurer's report. If treasurer's reports are done properly and without issue, then there is no question. But you have one person on this commission that is an auditor by trade. That's Commissioner Simmons. You have another person on this commission that's a former federal law enforcement agent that has investigated various types of things involving transactions and crimes and financial. No, we don't have a crime here, but I certainly know the procedures when it comes to government banks, government money, and how we should be upholding our fiduciary responsibility. To say anything otherwise is inappropriate. This is not a gotcha from one commissioner to another, but it is a commissioner that has a tremendous amount of experience in these transactions and working with audit bodies and government bodies and how they will come after the commission if our financial ducks are not in order. And we should not be giving the public any insinuation that anything else is happening here. And I would imagine that if all the commissioners had the same type of experience as me and Commissioner Simmons did, and these issues, you would be saying the same thing too. And perhaps you should check it also with the auditor, Kathy Patterson. I'm sure she could give you some advice on this as well.
Okay, remember to direct all comments through the chair, please. Thank you. Okay, so I think that going to the OANC is a good step to get some help and make sure that all the debits and credits and expenses are okay. We get the documentation that we need, and thank you. Okay, any other reports, Commissioner Sherman?
No other reports, just to say that I am in regular touch with the OANC, and as Commissioner Gosselin indicated, the procedure is to acknowledge this publicly to the commission on the record, state what it is, explain what happened, and identify the circumstance, which is what I've just done. But I will follow up with the OANC and do any further reporting that's required that's necessary under the law or under the regulations.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, so my next item, I have written so 3 of the annual reports for fiscal years 2023, 2024, and 2025. Mary, I do see your hand. I just see it now. Is this something that we should attend to now? Or can I go through the annual reports?
I thought I took it down before.
Okay, I'll lower it for you. Thank you. Okay, so annual reports are one of the few statutory obligations of the ANCs. They run for the fiscal year. While there's no specified format, they are a record of the business done by the commission that year. We're required specifically to report on any grants distributed, but other than that, it's a pretty loose format. But they do need to be in by November 30th of each year. And so as those of you who were here in January when I got elected chair, one of the items discussed about almost 2 hours into the meeting was where was the annual report for fiscal year 2025. It hadn't been submitted. The previous chair indicated that it was the job of the chair, who was me at the time, to do it. So it is a few months after the fact, but I have done them. I've done them for 2025, and then also in this process of getting that annual report together and figuring out where they were, I found that we didn't have one for 2024 or 2023 on the books. And so in order to bring us into compliance, I did the reports for all 3 years. I had the reports posted up on the website a week ago, and I hope that all the commissioners had a chance to look at them. But I would just like, if you have any questions, that's fine. And then I will, after we discuss, if we have any discussion, I'll make a motion that we accept these for the record. Ms. Brennan.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. Commissioner, I'm totally confused. Like, we're in 2026 now. Why weren't there reports for 23, 24, 25? I'm totally confused about why that might have happened and why they need to be done now.
Well, they need to be done in order to be in compliance. And so for each year, I went back and I looked in the records. We were able to port over documents from our old website. And I worked with the Office of OANC to see if they might be in those records. They didn't have them. I looked through emails. I found that the previous chair had indicated that she was working on them, and they were put on the agenda a couple of like once every cycle, but they were never presented or voted on. So I reached out to my commission and asked them, told them I was going to do this and asked if they had any feedback. And I did receive feedback from Commissioner Grunwald that she noted that some resolutions were not on the website in 2025 that she had worked on. So I added them. But otherwise, I just went ahead. I mean, it doesn't say in the statute who is supposed to do the reports on the commission, but the commission is supposed to get them done. And so that's what I chose to do to get them moving forward.
Well, I guess I appreciate that, but it just seems like they should have been done before this. So
they're required to be in by November 30th of the fiscal of that following that end of the fiscal year. Yeah. Commissioner Gore.
Yep. I would just like to say, Commissioner Phinizy, thank you for handling this. I was the previous chair. You want to turn that off?
I think that's the